Okay, hello everybody, this is Bandor. I am going to do a real quick video on how to set up the swim up bar with bar stools all the way around it, or except for where the gaps are, right? You don't need bar stools there, but people have asked me how can you do this quickly and easily without having to manually do it. So there's a few little tricks that you can do. It's mostly tricks that you learn as being a builder. Nothing magical. So let's go ahead and drag it out. I'm going to use the cluster that I created, which has it's an example. It has all the parts for the bar, including one bar tap and one bar stool. And the bar stool was set up to be positioned precisely the right distance from the bar for having the users interact with the bar appropriately. There's a couple poses where someone is actually sitting on the bar, and if you put it too far, they're inside the bar. If you put it too far away, they're not on the bar. So I went through and I tried it out, and I set the bar stool where it needed to be. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. So I'm going to drag this cluster out of my inventory, and a good idea when you're dragging clusters out of your inventory is to edit something, anything, it doesn't matter, so that you get the handle, so that when you drag it, it automatically selects all the parts, because otherwise it doesn't select it automatically and you got to manually select all the pieces, and sometimes there's invisible parts that you might miss. So this helps you avoid doing that just by editing something, anything, it doesn't matter, and then drag it out where you want it. Then I'm going to make sure it is rotated the way I want it to be, which is going to be 90 degrees this way, and then drag it down to the ground. Now I'm going to be doing this based on north, south, east, and west, square to the grid, because it's easier to work with pieces when they're oriented that way. Depending on where your bar is located, you may not be able to have it oriented exactly on the north, south, east, and west. So once you're finished, you can rotate everything and it will keep the relative positions. Way easier to do it by using the north, south, east, west than trying to do it to the specific angle that you may have to set it up. Set it up first, then rotate the whole thing to be where you want it. Okay, so we have this sitting on the ground, and I'm going to go ahead and move this whole thing over to 168 meters, that's just where I'm at. I just picked the closest number on my little grid here, so I could do it anywhere, but that's just convenient. It turns white when you're on it, so that's why I like to use those, because it's easier to find. Okay, so that's sitting at 168. Now I have one bar stool, right? I want to have bar stools around this side, and all the way around over here, so I can make sure that that's working correctly as we go through that process. And it doesn't take very long. There's one little trick that you need to do, which is we're going to measure the distance between here and here using a prim. So I'm going to just res a little cube out here, and then I'm going to set it to 168, which is centered, pull it over here, get it so that it's just barely touching this white wall, and you can see it. As soon as you see it starting to go change shape, then you know it's there. So that's about right there. Then stretch it over to here and do the same thing. Just get it so that it's barely touching it. Okay. Now we're going to take both this stool and that cube. We're going to drag them over here, rotate them 180 degrees, and then move them both until it's just about touching that. Yeah. About there. Okay. Now it's pretty close to being exactly the same. It's not exact, but it's close. So then we're going to take it, and we are going to, this is all done with the imprecise method of using my eyeballs. Why are those there? These are all legacies from when I did this before, so you can just ignore these little pieces that are sitting out. I didn't delete everything effectively. So just grab the bar stools. We don't need well, we can, yeah, let's go ahead and do them too. Sorry. Let's get the cubes and this so we can make sure we're where we want to be. All right, so I'm going to drag and copy by holding down Shift and pulling that over. And then just put it back as close as you can. When it starts to come out the other side, you know you've gone too far. Okay, that's about right. And then just rotate it 22.5 degrees. Now let's go back and do this again. And we're going to go the other way this time. Okay. Now I can just take these and do the same thing with them. Clone it, drag it, make sure it's about the same. And then rotate that 22.5 degrees. Let's go ahead and do it again. Rotate it 22.5 degrees. And then do that here. Clone it. Make sure it's sitting in about the same space. Rotate it 22.5 degrees. Copy it, put it back. Rotate it 22.5 degrees. Now I left the cubes so you could just check to see if it's properly spaced, and it is, so we can delete all of those. There we go. Now if you want to do the same thing with the bar top, you can do that. Just take it and drag to clone it, rotate it 180 degrees, move it over to this side of the bar, put it about the same distance away. It's about like that. Select them both, shift, drag, and clone them. Put them back where they were. Oops. Put it back so that they line up about right. Then rotate. This time you're going to do 45 degrees. Go back and select them again. Do the same thing. Put them back. And then rotate it 45 degrees. So there you have it. So there's your bar with 6 bar taps, equally spaced, equally distanced, with 14 bar stools, all of them pointing towards the center of the bar. So if you sit on it, it'll be pointing in the right direction. You don't have to worry about the rotation and orientation, and they're the right distance from the bar, and it's all set up. And then if you select everything, and remember I had some invisible stuff over here that's going to get selected, but that's okay. We'll just ignore that, pretend like it doesn't happen. And now once you have it all done and selected, you can select the whole thing and just rotate it to whatever angle you want it at. Like say I needed it to be there for where I have it. And you're done. That's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much.